Welcome to Recovery Corner, where the many pathways of recovery intersect. This is a space where you will hear personal stories of triumph in recovery, gain insights into various recovery oriented systems, and learn how leaders across the country are building recovery ready communities. Recovery Corner is brought to you by Young People in Recovery. YPR is a recovery support service organization that engages people in and seeking all pathways of recovery, as well as their allies. Recovery Corner podcast does not provide clinical advice.
What is going on, everybody, and welcome to the Recovery Corner. My name is Kelvin, and I'm also with Carly, and we both work with YPR, and fortunately enough, we got like the awesome honor of being a part of the podcast for some cool but odd reason. But I'm so honored and blessed to be here with Carly. Carly, want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, thanks, Kelvin. I'm Carly. I am a person in long-term recovery and been with YPR for a couple years now. We're going to be talking about wellness. I have a background in wellness in all sorts of ways, which I'm sure we'll get into, but it's good to be here and good to have these little, we don't have a fire, but fireside chats with Kelvin about wellness in recovery. Hell yeah.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
That's what we say around here. Hell yeah. I'm in San Diego, California, by the way. Where are you from?
I'm from San Francisco, but I feel as if people can look at you and go, she's from San Diego.
I don't know.
You have very San Diego vibe to me.
Yeah, maybe a little tan and blonde from the sunshine, but that's because I take care of myself with my wellness and sunshine protocols, you know?
You do.
I'm super blessed.
One thing about you that I really like is that, you're very intentional, just because we've had conversations. For those of you guys don't know, which is probably a lot of you, Carly, she runs yoga sessions with her chapter, the San Diego chapter, and she's been super successful with starting that. And I mean, it's kind of been like one of those spaces where you've had to see them grow into something much, much bigger. But I bring all this up because I, for one, am one of those people that wants and craves that intentionality, which kind of snowballs us into the health. And just real quick, I'm not so big on introductions myself, but Kelvin Clark, I'm a part of the San Francisco chapter. I run the San Francisco chapter. So that's a part of it, but I'm also an ally. So for this conversation that I'm having with Carly, I just really kind of want to pick your brain a little bit more and let it be a little free based, but also kind of introduce the folks to what we'll be bringing to the table as far as future podcasts are concerned.
Nice. Let's do it.
Let's do it. So today, okay, do you kind of want to give them a rundown of how you view wellness within the recovery, from the recovery perspective?
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about this before in kind of brainstorming for this podcast, and I feel like wellness is encompassed by three major categories, and we were referring to them as pillars, right? Mm-hmm. Being like the physical body, your emotional or mental health, and then spiritual health. Okay. And all of them flow together, and one affects the other. They're definitely not like exclusive of each other, you know. Mm-hmm. But from a recovery perspective, I just feel like it's really important to not just focus on like your mental health, for example, or just like some people get sober and they get like the gym becomes their like only way to like maintain their recovery and sobriety. Yes. Or it's really easy to like only do the spiritual part and only do like, you know, if you're in 12 steps, only do like prayer and all of that, which, you know, all three are super important on their own, but together, I think it makes a person a stronger, more whole person, a being. I find it interesting, and for those of you who know, you know, but in 12-step recovery, they use the triangle as their symbol for their organization.
Yeah.
We'll keep the organization anonymous, but that was my pathway, and I'm definitely, we're an all pathways organization here at YPR, and I support everyone on their pathway, but it is interesting that their triangle, the three sides are recovery, fellowship, service. And some folks will say like recovery is the mind. Service is a spirituality because we grow our spiritual selves by helping other people. And then fellowship is like sort of the body. I don't know. I think that's interesting. So take with that what you will, but we're going to be talking about all of those things and kind of zooming in on just different topics related to all of those and interviewing people, etc.
With your experience, what do you think out of those three pillars that you see is like a common space of, okay, I need to try a little bit harder, a little bit better in that area, whether it's like the spiritual area or the physical area? Like what for you, does that make any sense? Like what for you would be like, not only for yourself, but for others that you've seen?
Yeah, well, I mean, it does, I think, varies from person to person, of course, but to me, if you don't iron out the spiritual aspect of it, nothing else is going to fall into place. So if I were to put one of those pillars at the top, it would be like your spiritual self, and that obviously can look different for a lot of people. People who come from a super maybe religious, or for me, I was a yoga teacher. Like when I got into recovery, for some people that can be like a huge focus. For some people, the spirituality part is hard, but to me, embracing that is like, if you heal your spiritual body in a sense, the physical and mental sort of falls into place. But we still have to take action, like you can't just sit on a rock and meditate in this day in society. Like if you need a sandwich, go up and get the sandwich. Don't just like sit there and pray for one.
Yeah,
we have feet for a reason.
Facts.
Yeah.
Period. I think a lot of times people, I grew up in the Bible Belt, and one of the things that they say, faith without works is dead. Meaning that, you can pray all day long, but if you don't actually put action behind it, even in that context that we're speaking of religion, it's still, you won't get anything. Which is interesting, which is really interesting. I wanted to ask, like, does wellness in terms of recovery, does it all look the same?
Absolutely not. Some people may say it does, but like what being well to me could mean something completely different to somebody else. I know, like even my boyfriend, for example, like for him, like mental health, like getting his mental health on track was super important, for me. Like if I don't go work out every day and move my body, I feel crazy, and that's just what I've learned about myself over the years. But for other people, I don't know. I think all of these things are really subjective, and it's going to be different for everyone. And it's very much like I'll say it again and again, like a fluid path. Nothing is a straight line around here. There's nothing, like I couldn't, write down a list of what somebody needs to do in the exact order myself. for all aspects of their wellness journey and have it be perfect for everybody. I can maybe take some really good guesses, you know. I over and over will tell people, like, you're your own best teacher, I think. Like learning to listen to ourselves, which is something earlier on that like we lose trust in ourselves and have to ask other people for advice, etc. But eventually, like deep down inside, we know the answers. It's like, are we willing to be honest with ourselves and face those truths, you know? So
can I ask you, when especially when I'm dealing with a lot of people from my chapter, a lot of newer people coming in, there's always like this, you know, which is normal, this barrier of, you know, there are a certain level of honesty there, but then there's the other half where it's like, I'm still figuring, you know, I know what's right, but I may not necessarily vocalize that or show that. Is that like a process when starting on the journey to recovery, where you're kind of accepting the honesty? Because you're, one thing I do like about you, you're very honest. Like you're just to the point to kind of what you, that's just one of the things about you, Carly, which I really do like, because it's very transparent and readable. So like, what is that something that you kind of gain on the path? Because everybody doesn't start out with that level of honesty.
Absolutely. Like when getting sober, and we don't always like to use those terms around here, I guess, like getting into recovery, like the first thing that we're learning to admit to ourselves is that we cannot use substances or whatever the addiction may be. I know there's lots of different forms or things people can be in recovery for, but we can't use that thing like we were anymore. And depending on what pathway you are on, like whether that means complete abstinence or sobriety, or I know some people take like a harm reduction approach. Like it's admitting to ourselves, maybe for the first time ever, and having that like realization that we can't use like we did before. It's killing us in some way, like mentally, spiritually, maybe physically. And then however you go about dealing with that is like your pathway, right? But that's like, for some people, that's like they're completely in disillusion, including myself for a long time. Like the internal lies, you know, that just run our lives like under the table. And trying to live a more sober lifestyle is perhaps like the first time we're taking some of those lies and putting them on the table and being like, whoa, I have to like be honest with myself here, or my life is going to keep running itself into the ground, or whatever the case may be, you know. But through that process of like learning to be honest, and then you have to be like honest about everything in your life with at least somebody, it gets to be a lot, I don't know, like something that we have to do at some point about everything, or you feel guilty, you know, and it affects all of those like spiritual, emotional, mental, everything. So
can I ask you one last question? Because we have like 3 or 4 minutes left.
Yeah, sure.
What is it? I think I want to answer this question too, myself. But I want you to go first. Okay. And the thing is, what do you want people to grasp from this? Because the listeners have been listening and watching, and you know, they're getting a gist of what we can provide. But if they get nothing else from this conversation, what do you want them to walk away with?
Empowerment. Like I think recovery like is all about getting new tools and empowering yourself to use them. on a daily basis or whatever, you know. So if we can just provide some tools that empower you to take better care of yourself, or at least think about taking better care of yourself, that's a win, you know. And in the end, like, you'll feel better. Like, we only have one life.
Facts.
So
Facts.
How about you, Kelvin?
Piggyback. I would say the same thing in different form, which is, you know, hopefully we're providing something for you to see yourself in a different perspective, for you can view your life, you know, a little differently. It may not change. I don't, you know, I never want to put that out. I want to say something to change someone's life or to do anything with that intention, but hopefully it sparks interest to better your life in some form or fashion. So that's what I'm hoping that we're contributing with not only this episode, but moving forward and just with this podcast. I think, you know, that's really the mission, not just for me, but everybody at YPR. And I feel that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that about sums it up.
Yeah.
Sort of the direction. Stay tuned. I guess Kelvin and I, or at least one of us in some form or fashion, are going to be discussing all kinds of different wellness things. And we're excited to go on the journey.
Very excited. Like a lot of the viewers, I don't know if most of them have been watching the previous episodes with podcast, the Recovery Corner. But I'm really excited to be with this new team. I'm very excited to be working with Carly, the amazing Carly. So excited. She's just a wealth of knowledge, and just like I get excited when I'm around her and working with her. So yeah.
Dream Say team. The same for you, Kelvin. Yeah. All right.
Sauce. Well, thank you guys for tuning in. We appreciate all the love and support. And we will check you guys later. Bye.